There are TVs that look amazing on shelves. And then there are TVs designed to disappear once they're in your living room. That's the trick, right? The good ones vanish into daily life, but the bad ones, they demand your attention for the wrong reasons. Too dim on a sunny Sunday morning, too bright when you're trying to breathe in the quiet, sound that feels flat, remotes that feel like afterthoughts, and brands that made it on the shelf, not because they're the best, but because they were cheap, easy, available. Walmart doesn't always sell you what's good, they sell you what's there. But that's why you clicked, because the box looked premium, the sales seemed too good, and the tech, it sounded smart, until it wasn't. Today we're ranking the 7 worst TV brands at Walmart in 2026 from lowest to almost best, and not just by specs but by what they didn't tell you. What most people don't notice until it's 3 months too late, until return windows close, and regret starts nesting under the stand right next to the HDMI cables, because there's clarity in specs. But confusion? That's where profit lives. Now let's slow it down. Every year, homes get smarter, TVs become thinner, bezels vanish, contrast gets deeper, marketing gets sleeker, but decision-making, that's where it crumbles, because you're not just choosing a screen, you're choosing screen time. For you, your partner, your parents when they visit. You're choosing background noise for the dog on work-from-home days. You're choosing how Saturday mornings look when the cartoons run and your kid spills the cereal and you're half awake with coffee you already microwaved twice. This isn't just about specs anymore. This is about who we become, with what we bring into our space. And sometimes we bring in something we shouldn't have. Let's begin with rank 7. A brand you might not even recognize. On, quietly stocked, private label, unassuming. It sells because it's cheap, because it's available, because it fits into carts next to laundry soap and frozen pizza. On, TVs look fine. They turn on quickly, which already makes them better than some. But picture depth, lost. Color, faded, like old jeans under fluorescent light. Sound, boxy and thin, like someone whispering through a cereal box. And software, clunky, sometimes freezing mid-scroll, sometimes forgetting which input you were on, sometimes turning itself off and on, just to remind you that software matters. You don't notice it the first day, or maybe not even the first week, but over time it gets louder. Not the sound, but the inconvenience, the slow remote clicks, the non-responsive UI, the moment you just want to open YouTube, but you're standing there waiting, wondering if you pressed the button at all. These aren't deal breakers on paper, but in life, they wear you down. You could have spent $75 more and never had that tension. Now On isn't a villain, it's just a placeholder, a brand holding space on shelves until something better goes on sale. Let's move to number 6 on the board. Scepter. The name feels like it should mean something. Fancy, regal, mysterious. But in the world of screens, it's mostly forgotten until you see the price and think, well, how bad can it be? Scepter is the epitome of, it works until it doesn't. The designs, years behind, interfaces, outdated, and the picture, flat, sometimes jittery, almost like it's buffering. Even when it's downloaded, there's no finesse here, no subtlety. The dark scenes and thrillers feel like guesswork. The transitions between colors feel choppy, artificial. Imagine watching a nature documentary, and the color of the forest just slightly off. Instead of lush green, you get digital neon, moments that nature spent millions of years making perfect, crushed by poor calibration. That's the thing most people miss. TV isn't just about looking sharp, it's about feeling real. You spend hours with this thing, you share silence with it. Families fall asleep to its glow, then wake up to its last paused frame hanging in the air like static. Scepter gives you an image, but rarely a moment. And you could argue, for the price I paid, it's fine. But that's the trap. Because they build products to hit price brackets, not to build immersion. There's a difference, and your time deserves something better than technically works. Next on the board, number 5. Philips. And I know this one might feel out of place, because it's recognizable, it has history, medtech, lighting, legacy. But that's form. Name doesn't always mean depth. Philips TVs sold through Walmart, especially entry-level lines, are like memory-distorted versions of their past selves. They're not built by the same engineers anymore, not even the same factories in most cases. Slim builds, sharp branding, tidy remotes, but inside, latency is poor. On-screen motion jitters during fast scenes. 4K panels that technically qualify but don't optimize. It's a reminder that specs can lie. Just because it says HDR doesn't mean it feels like HDR. Just because it's 60 Hz doesn't mean it can handle medium-speed gaming. Just because the name is Philips doesn't mean the soul is. That's the issue at this rank. It's the illusion of quality over actual quality. You buy the TV, feel safe. Then 3 months in, you realize the inputs feel loose. The Bluetooth has weird dropouts. The screen just plain looks worse than the Costco one your brother has. Philips began to feel like the brand that relied on your memory of it, not the experience it was offering today. Real moment from a viewer. I bought it for my dad. He just needed something simple for news. But even he said, why does everyone's face look orange? That's not tech criticism, that's dinner table disappointment. And it adds up, because in this space, truth lives in the edges. In the way HDR handles shadow during a dim candle-lit movie scene. In the tone of skin while watching replays. In the way sound doesn't just play, it circles around you softly, or doesn't. And that's just the top 3. We've still got 4 more brands to go. So before we move on, take a second to sit with this truth. They don't sell you the worst TVs anymore. They sell you compromise, with polish. That's the modern trick. Everything looks good, until life happens. Until the baby toy rolls under the stand mid-scene, and the screen lags while you're leaning down. Until a firmware update changes your whole interface overnight, and the volume bar starts stuttering every time you change it. Until your mom visits, grabs the remote and says, which button is Netflix again? Welcome to modern screens. Welcome to the soft illusion of choice. Rank 4, Hisense. This one stings a bit, doesn't it? Because the commercials look good, the panels look thin, the colors, vibrant, when you're standing right in front of them. But it's never the demo TVs that expose the cracks. It's the living rooms, where sunlight pours in from the wrong angle, where Wi-Fi occasionally dips, where the HDMI gets bumped because the toddler crawled behind the stand again. That's when Hisense starts to show its strain. They're lower-tier models. They're often built just well enough to impress on day 1, but fragile enough to annoy you on day 30. Backlight clouding in dark scenes. Inconsistent motion smoothing that makes NBA replays look like ghost trails. Software that tries to act premium, but slows down the moment you install more than 2 apps. You notice it. Not at setup. Not even that night. But a month in, when you're trying to show your dad a family video and the screen freezes mid-frame, when you're skipping through streaming apps and the whole system reboots like a tired laptop, and you're just sitting there watching the TV, try to remember how to work. That's the Hisense problem. It says, look at me, but it forgets to ask, can I grow with you? Because for many, it won't. Software updates can get sporadic. Picture quality begins degrading after a few years. Parts aren't built with longevity in mind. And yeah, some of the higher-end Hisense models punch way above their weight, but not the ones sitting on Walmart shelves during Black Friday. Those are stripped-down, cost-cut variants of the flagship lines. Made to earn profit, not long-term satisfaction. It's a TV that plays the part of reliability until you need it to be reliable. Now to number 3, TCL. And before you protest, yes, some TCLs are impressive for the price, but that's only part of the truth. The other part, inconsistency. You can buy a TCL today and love it. See deep blacks, smooth menus, clean inputs, and then recommend it to your friend next month, and theirs is glitchy, poorer panel, faded colors. Because the same model isn't always the same TV. TCL's rapid release schedules, outsourcing manufacturing to various plants, and silently swapping internal parts mid-cycle. It's created a trust gap. Their best models deliver, but the ones that land on Walmart end caps during sales weekends, those are a coin toss. Real moment. A family wrote in, said they bought 2 TCLs, same model, same week, used one in the kitchen, one in the basement. Within 6 months, one wouldn't connect to Wi-Fi. The other developed a permanent shadow bar along the left edge of the screen. Same model, different outcome. And the burden of testing quality, it fell on them. TCL doesn't tell you that part. That not every purchase will be consistent. That customer support is slow. That firmware updates can break more than they fix. It's the classic story. Entry-level pricing, without a guarantee of entry-level performance. And in 2026, as TVs become more than just screens, but hubs for content, identity, rest, reality, that level of chance starts to feel less like a bargain, and more like a burden. Which brings us to our runner-up, Vizio. It hurts to say it, but here we are. 10 years ago, Vizio was the budget champion. People trusted it. You knew what you were getting. But now, something shifted. Still sleek on the outside, still packaged with confidence, but version by version, feature by feature, Vizio started introducing quiet frustrations, menus that lag, remotes that feel slightly disconnected, an ad-heavy home screen that makes you press 2, maybe 3 times, just to get to HDMI 1. You can disable some of the ads, but it always feels like work. And more importantly, Vizio has taken a step away from making TVs for viewers and started building TVs for advertisers. They're monetizing your screen as you watch, tracking habits, pushing updates, occasionally inserting things you didn't ask for. It's subtle, but you feel it, especially when a new menu appears that wasn't there last week, or when a feature disappears altogether after a software push. Real moment. One viewer wrote, I was watching a movie with my wife. The volume bar glitched out and froze right in the middle of the screen. Stayed there for 20 minutes. She thought I was joking. I couldn't get rid of it. He restarted it twice. Still stuck. Turned out the update earlier that day had broken volume overlays for some models. That's not rare anymore. That's not a fluke. That's a pattern. And patterns matter, because that's how you lose trust. And now, number 1, the worst TV brand you can buy at Walmart in 2026, Element. Not a name you hear often. And maybe that's part of the problem. Because when you're standing in the aisle, tired, overwhelmed,
trying to make a 5-minute decision that'll define your next 3 years of screen time. Element looks fine. Big screen, decent sound claim, Roku or Google TV compatibility, and the packaging whispers just enough tech specs to make it seem modern. But when it arrives, when you take it out of the box, you start seeing it. The screen is uneven, the refresh rate isn't smooth, the build quality feels like plastic you tap too lightly, afraid it might crack. Inputs are fragile, remote response, lagged. And worst of all, panel failure rate on Element TVs has quietly risen, even if most review sites won't publish it. They're low cost for a reason, because they cut corners you didn't think could be cut anymore. They gamble on the casual buyer, the one looking for a TV under 300, the one assuming all 4K TVs are just TVs, but they're not. Because with Element, 4K often looks more like 720p washed through 2014's color science. HDR feels theoretical, and response times feel like you're watching a screen react, not display. They live in dumpsters behind college dorms, on garage sale tables, in rooms people forget about. Element isn't just a bad TV, it's a forgettable one. And sometimes that's worse, because you deserve better than a screen that slowly disappears. Not because it blends in beautifully, but because it fails quietly enough not to scream. So where does that leave us? With a truth that's harder than stats, more revealing than brightness levels, more important than port counts. It leaves us here. The best TV isn't the one that looks best in the store. It's the one that disappears when you're living your life. The one that doesn't glitch when your mom comes over. The one that lets your kid watch Bluey without buffering. The one that doesn't fry a port because the plug got tugged sideways by a vacuum. It's the one you don't talk about, because you're too busy being fully with it. That's why these rankings matter. Not because we enjoy shaming brands, but because we protect moments. Because every hour spent debugging firmware is one less hour of peace, and peace can't be patched in. So if you're here because the colors looked off in aisle 12, because the buttons felt slow, because your neighbor's TV just sounds better, even though they promised the same specs, you're not overthinking it. You're paying attention. Because clarity doesn't just mean pixels. It means knowing what you're letting into your home. You don't need perfection. Just something that works and stays working. Something that doesn't freeze when the credits roll. That doesn't glitch when your partner leans on the remote. That doesn't feel disposable, even if you didn't spend 4 digits. In the end, you're not just buying a screen. You're buying hours, moods, memories. The glow during midnight documentaries. The drift of snowfall in winter sports. The warmth of quiet family movie nights, even if no one agrees on the genre. So if you learn one thing, let the TV fade into the background, because it works too well to notice. They want one that's smart enough to work. Before you go, hit that subscribe button. We don't just review, we expose. From the hype to the hidden failures to the tricks brands hope you'll never question. So hit like, tap subscribe, and join thousands of smart shoppers who already know. Smart spending starts with asking smarter questions.